Among all the righteous individuals, there is one in each generation through whom all spiritual influences and miracles are channeled into this world. One of the ways to discern who these righteous individuals are is by examining the positions of the planets at the time of their passing. To be counted among these righteous ones, a planet must be located at the time of his passing at exactly the same point in the zodiac where a particular planet stood during significant events of his generation. In my analysis, I use only 5 planets and the lunar node. I want to focus on 2 types of events that have occurred in our generation. The first concerns technological developments in the field of space, time, and energy. In my lecture titled Spiritual and Technological Developments, I presented many examples showing that on the very day of a major technological breakthrough, a planet was positioned exactly at a point in the zodiac associated with technology. For example, when astronauts were first launched to the moon, the planet Neptune was precisely located at this point. In what follows, I will reveal how I discovered this very point. Over the years, I discovered a dramatic principle that has remained unknown until now. That dates mentioned in the Torah, describing various events, can be converted onto the zodiac wheel, and through them, one can foresee future occurrences. For example, when God brought the flood and rain fell upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, the Torah tells us that on the 27th of Heshvan the earth finally dried, and on that very day, God commanded Noah to leave the ark. The mystical writings teach that this day is one of the most significant in the history of the world, for on this day the world was first prepared for man to refine and elevate it through his own, on a spiritual level. Although this is a spiritual process, it carries tangible effects in the physical world. In proportion to man's spiritual refinement through Torah and commandments, God grants humanity the possibility to achieve dramatic advances in technology. In the book of creation, it is written that the 12 zodiac signs correspond to the 12 months of the Hebrew year. Thus, the month of Heshvan corresponds to the sign of Scorpio. Furthermore, the 30 degrees of each zodiac sign parallel the 30 days of the month. Degree 0 corresponds to the first day, degree 1 to the second day, and so forth. Therefore, the 27th of Heshvan corresponds to 26 degrees of Scorpio, and this is how I discovered what I call the technological point. When a planet reaches this point, the spiritual influence that descends at that moment is identical to the influence that descends on the 27th of Heshvan. In my lecture titled The Six-Day War and Hanukkah, I revealed 2 significant points on the zodiac wheel. One point connected to miraculous events in the nation of Israel, and another point associated with Jerusalem. Whenever a miracle occurs involving the conquest or liberation of Jerusalem, 2 planets are simultaneously positioned at these 2 precise points. This constellation is extremely rare. Over the past 2,000 years, it has occurred only 4 times. The last time such a constellation appeared was on June 5, 1967, at the outbreak of the Six-Day War, a victory over several heavily armed Arab states, when the miracle centered on the liberation of Jerusalem. On that day, 2 planets were positioned at these 2 points. Now, to identify who is the righteous figure of this generation, the one connected both to the development of the technology and to the miracles of the Six-Day War, we must examine which righteous, at the time of his passing, had either a planet or the lunar node aligned with the technology point and another aligned with the miracle point. One of the compelling proofs that the Lubavitcher Rebbe is indeed the righteous figure we are seeking is this. On the very day of his passing, Pluto was positioned exactly at the technology point, and on that same day the lunar node was aligned precisely with the miracle point. And since in the case of the miracle of the Six-Day War, we are dealing with 2 distinct points in the zodiac, the event therefore occurred under the influence of 2 righteous leaders, the previous Rebbe, the Rayatz, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And indeed, when we examine the position of the lunar node at the time of the passing of these 2 righteous leaders, we discover something remarkable. At the moment of the Lubavitcher Rebbe's passing, the node was positioned precisely at the miracle point, as mentioned. And at the time of the Rayatz's passing, the node was located at the Jerusalem point. This unique constellation confirms what the Rebbe himself revealed, that he leads the people of Israel together with his predecessor the Rayats, just as Moses acted in unity with Aaron during the Exodus from Egypt, even though the Rayats had passed away 17 years before the Six-Day War. According to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, this was the reason for his frequent visits to the resting place of the Rayats to receive prophetic inspiration and guidance on various issues, including the annulment of harsh decrees and the averting of worldly catastrophes. Now look at this. 2,130 years before the Six-Day War, a similar event took place, the Hasmonean conquest of Jerusalem. A miracle victory remarkably similar to that of the Six-Day War and likewise centered on Jerusalem. Amazingly, just as in the Six-Day War, during the Hasmonean conquest of Jerusalem, two planets were simultaneously positioned at precisely these 2 points. In the lesson, The Messianic Dynasty, I revealed the 7 righteous figures, started with the Baal Shem Tov, who came into the world to prepare the redemption. Each one has a specific point in the zodiac, and this point is revealed on the day of his passing, when a planet or the lunar node aligns precisely with the point associated with him. As a result, the technological point mentioned in the Torah must be included among these 7 points. Indeed, the 3rd point, associated with the Alter Rebbe known as the Baal HaTanya, the founder of the Chabad movement, is in fact the very point linked to technology. For on the day of his passing, a planet was positioned exactly at the technology point, just as it was at the passing of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Since these righteous serve as the spiritual channels through which miracles are revealed, it follows that the 2 points associated with the miracles of Hanukkah and the Six-Day War must likewise be included among the 7 central points of this lineage. Indeed, the Tzemach Tzedek, who is listed on the right side, passed away at a time when Neptune was positioned at the Jerusalem point. And at the passing of the Maharash, who appears on the left side of the list, the lunar node was positioned at the miracle point. Amazing, through the true wisdom of the zodiac, everything becomes precise. The miracle of Hanukkah in the days of the Hasmoneans, as well as the miracle of the Six-Day War, was brought about through 2 mystical points, one from the right side and one from the left side of the list, each representing a distinct type of spiritual channel. Accordingly, the commandment associated with the miracle of Hanukkah, namely, the lighting of the Hanukkah lamps, also contains 2 aspects, right and left. The lighting is performed on the left side of the door, opposite the mezuzah, which is fixed on the right. Similarly, the commandment associated with the Six-Day War also contains both the right and left aspects. Due to the tense days leading up to the war, the Lubavitcher Rebbe launched the Tefillin campaign, urging that every Jewish man, especially soldiers stationed at the front lines, should put on tefillin. And indeed, tefillin themselves are composed of 2 parts, the tefillin of the head which corresponds to the right side, and the tefillin of the hand which is placed specifically on the left arm, representing the left side. Among all the commandments, these 2, tefillin and Hanukkah lights, are unique, for they are both fulfilled on the left side. The conclusion is, there are no coincidences.